We are the sexagenarian sages.
And we are here to bust the myths around sex and aging.
And one of the myths I want to talk about today is the physical limitations that you have when you're older and how they interfere with sex, specifically about flexibility. Now, I do yoga. I started yoga several years ago. At the time I started it, I was not flexible. And in fact, I started with this video. It's called Essential Yoga for Inflexible People. I like this video because it does not expect you to be somebody who could twist yourself around like a pretzel.
Yeah.
It works with what your body works with, and it uses a number of props to help you. Could you stand up for just a second?
Up we go.
Props, like a chair, a blanket, or pillow. A yoga mat, of course. Yoga mats are so cheap to get these days. You can get a good yoga mat for less than 10 bucks. You may also want to buy a yoga block. They come in handy at times. But the video itself uses props that you most likely have in your house. So that's what I started with. And when I first started doing it, like I said, I was not very flexible. I could not do all of the poses as deeply as they were being demonstrated. But I could do them with the aid of the props to a certain extent. And over time, I got much more flexible. And in fact, eventually I started going to yoga classes. There are a lot of different forms of yoga out there. My suggestion to you is try the different forms. Find the ones that work for you.
I do a form called yin yoga, where you hold poses for an extended period of time. And I find they work really well for me. As a running coach, I recognized a lot of those poses because they're ones that other running coaches had trained me in, my track coaches and road coaches.
And what they were really training you in was stretching.
Exactly.
And that's what this is about. So today I'm going to show you some exercises that I do to keep my flexibility up to make sex more pleasurable. And these exercises are good for both men and for women. A lot of the exercises I'm demonstrating today focus on hip flexibility. Would you say hip flexibility is a good thing for men?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So I need some space.
I will grant you some space.
And we may need to rearrange the camera. First pose that I'm going to show you is called Warrior One. It's great for hip flexibility. And I'm going to demonstrate the pose. You'll have to forgive me. My head's going to be cut off for a moment while I'm getting into the pose. But what you want to do is start in what's called mountain pose, where your feet are hip width apart and your arms are down at your side. And then on an exhale, you're going to want to bring your feet out, roughly 3 feet. Depends on your height, might be a little more, a little less. Also depends on your stability. And bring your hands to your hips. On an exhalation, turn one foot out 90 degrees. Turn the other foot out 45 degrees. By picking up the heel, swiveling on the ball of the foot and placing the heel back down. Now, your balance may not be great in this position, in which case, what you want to do is shift that back leg out a little further. Find the position where you feel relatively balanced, and then bend the front knee. If you can bring it to 90 degrees, great. If it's a little less than that, well, you do what you can. This position helps strengthen your thigh muscles. It helps flexibility in the hips. And hold this position for 30 seconds, a minute, however long it works for you. And then simply straighten it back up. Come back to the front. And then turn the other foot out 90 degrees. And the back foot out 45 degrees. And bend the knee again. So that'll help with flexibility in the hips. Now we need to rearrange. Before we rearrange, I would like your assistance. I appreciate how you keep me grounded. Would you actually be my physical anchor for a moment?
Let's see if I can actually do this.
Reason I have to do this. This is called a resistance band. You buy these in a sports store on Amazon. Normally, I shut this little ball in a door so that it holds the resistance band. What I would like you to do is to be my door.
Do the colors mean anything?
Yes, and it depends on the band that you buy. Different colors are different amount of resistance. And I can't tell you exactly what colors work to what because it varies based on brand. This is a medium resistance band for the set that I bought. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place the band around my ankle. And I'm going to need you to back up a bit, please.
Okay.
Okay, that way I can hold on to the mantle for a little bit of balance. Okay, so I've got the band around my ankle with just a little bit of resistance on it. And then what I'm going to do, so I'm going to bring the leg forward and just a little ways in front of the other leg. And you feel the resistance of the band as you do that. Where I'm feeling this is in my outer thigh and my inner thigh. And this is another one that works for flexibility in the hip. So you just out and back, out and back. And do that about 10 times and then switch and do the other leg. Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate you anchoring me. So now I'm going to move to a couple of exercises on the floor. Put my yoga mat down. The next pose I'm going to show you is bound angle pose. You may need to sit up on a blanket or a yoga block to raise yourself up a little bit depending on your flexibility, because what you want to do is bring the bottoms of your feet together and then bring them in as close as you can comfortably do. If it's not very far, that's fine. You do what's comfortable to you. And just press the soles of your feet together. You can put your hands behind you for a little bit of steadiness if you want. And where I'm feeling this is in my inner thigh and in my hips. Now, if you want just a little more stretch, what you can do is actually take your hands and peel your feet together just a little bit. It's a subtle movement, but it does increase the stretch in the inner thigh. And to come out of the pose, just bring your legs back up and straighten them out. The last exercise I'm going to show you is a bridge. Couple of props here.
Yoga block.
Yep, a yoga block and a ball. This one's lost a little bit of air over time, but it's actually good that it's lost air. Now, with the bridge, you're going to lay on your back. And I need this out. There we go. With your feet a little more than hip width apart and your knees up. Place the ball between your knees and then just gently lift your hips. If you can't lift very far, that's fine. If you need a little bit of support, put the block underneath. As I'm lifting my hips, I'm squeezing in on the ball, and I'm feeling that especially right through here. And this gives me a nice stretch, and it also helps me have the stamina for position where my hips are a little more elevated, which, gee, that might come in handy when you're having sex.
Yeah, you think so?
So those are a few exercises that you can do to create, help with your flexibility. Would you like to rejoin me?
I will do that.
And I really do find, whoops, your head's all cut off.
Woo!
There we go. That's a little better. I really do recommend yoga as a way of maintaining and increasing your flexibility. It doesn't just make sex easier, it makes everything easier. And as I said, you can get videos and do this in your home. This one is the one that I really liked. I'm glad this was the one I started with. And there are plenty of online classes, particularly now. A lot of the yoga classes went online when we went into lockdown. Find a class that works for you. It may be chair yoga, which is a very gentle yoga that's meant for people who aren't very flexible, have limited range. But find what works for you. Do what you can to maintain your flexibility for a better sex life and a better life in general. Do you have anything more you'd like to say?
I do not, other than just urging you all to bring your bodies into sex.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you for watching and have a beautiful day.